So, welcome to Northern Powerhouses, our business success stories series of interviews, where we discuss with local business leaders their backgrounds, their successes, their challenges, and what's really driving them forwards. And this afternoon, I'm delighted to have with us Mark Parker, who's Managing Director at AV Matrix. So, firstly, Mark, thank you for spending a bit of time with us. And if you'd like to introduce yourself, AV Matrix, what you do, how you help people, that would be wonderful.
Yeah, sure, no problem. Thanks, Chris. AV Matrix, we provide technical services for live events. So that can encompass sound, lighting, video, staging power, all these sort of technical things for live events. And these range from a lot of corporate events like conferences, award shows, and dinners, but to live music events, festivals, parties, anything like that. Anything that requires anything technical for events.
Brilliant. So that's quite. It sounds like quite a range of sort of scale.
Huge
I would
range.
imagine.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, absolutely.
is it so? If I is there anything too big or too small that we go with? Not mine too small, but is there any sort of uh,
No,
any
we get involved at all levels, to be honest with
brilliant,
you. I mean, I'm not about to say we'll go do all the production at Glastonbury, but we do bits of production at Glastonbury.
wonderful,
So does that make sense? So we
perfect sense?
there's
Yeah,
there's some huge events that we are
yes,
involved with, and we're a big part of those events. But there are some huge events where we play a little part. So
brilliant,
we do get involved at all levels.
wonderful. And what would you say for anyone that's watching? What makes a great client for you? What sort of client do you work best with?
Oh, our sort of the best clients for us and the ones we really were pushing towards more so in recent years are event organisers. So
Right.
we work a lot for companies like event organisers or production companies that actually they deal with the end client and we
Yep.
provide the technical expertise to deliver their event. So
Brilliant.
these are the people, not really end clients. So we do have some end clients like corporates
Yep.
that we deal with directly, but a lot of what we do is now for other production companies and
Brilliant.
event organisers.
Wonderful. So, Mark, perhaps we could start by sort of looking backwards, and you could tell us a little bit more about your background, how you got into business, and why this particular one for you.
So, in I started the company in 2003, and I worked for another small production company in Harrogate for 3 years before that. I was always interested in the technical side of entertainment venues, nightclubs, that type of thing. I was sort of quite involved in that in the very early years.
Yep.
But in 2003, decided to start my own company, sort of remortgage the house a little bit, buy some hire equipment,
Oh,
and went from there.
wonderful. Well done. Well done. A couple of steps. One is taking the step because that's a lot involved in doing that. I guess secondly, also, I don't know if you wear the stats, but to get to 20 years is quite an achievement for a business. Unfortunately, 80% of businesses fail in the first 5 years, and
Right.
of the 20% that survive, another 80% of those fail in the following 5 years. So
Well, let's hope
to
it's not the next five for me then. Yeah.
no, well, I mean, just to get to 10 years, you're in the top 4%.
Right. Okay.
you
That's
know,
interesting.
and I have to be honest. I've said this a couple of times, and I will do this. I haven't got the stats for 20 years. There's not that many businesses I interview that more than 20 years. There are one or two, but I will get the stats because I think it's something worth celebrating.
Okay.
For you
Yeah.
and for the team that you've achieved something quite significant there. So as I say, congratulations. Um, and over that period, what would you say are some of the biggest issues and challenges that you've had to overcome, Mark?
Well, without any shadow of a doubt, it affected lots of people, but the events industry was catastrophically affected with
Yeah,
COVID.
yeah,
So that,
of
without any
course.
shadow of a doubt, was the biggest challenge we've ever had as a company.
Yeah,
Overnight, we lost every single job we had in the diary.
goodness, goodness.
And yeah, well, say overnight, within a
Yeah.
10-day period, we literally lost every single booking. So that was the biggest challenge, without any shadow of a doubt.
If you don't mind going there a little bit, because I'm fully aware that some businesses were challenged a bit, we were challenged, but this and your industry and your business particularly was significantly challenged. How did you manage? What were some of the things that you went through, and what did you do to overcome them?
Well, the initial thing, obviously, we just didn't know what it was going to be in terms of the time and everything else. So, yeah, whether we did things correctly or not is sort of it's only with the benefit of hindsight that you could look at that.
Yep.
But we went through a period of keeping everyone furloughed. but literally the events will, and literally everything we did was about meeting up with big groups of people, whether
Yes.
it be a
Yes.
concert, a theatre show, a
Yep.
conference. Literally was, and that was the absolute polar opposite of what you could do during COVID. So we did furlough people, but then we did make some redundancies because I literally couldn't sort of see an end to it, and
100%. Yeah.
so we had to go there. There's lots of talk about whether the furlough would continue and all that sort. So we did do that, which made us reset our thinking. We had to borrow an awful lot of money
Yep.
from the government. We talking hundreds of thousands of pounds, not just a bounce back loan of 50 grand. We're
Yep.
into the major
Yes.
major league amount of borrowing,
Yep.
and that. But to be honest, that is the reason we were able to continue.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
that means we never defaulted on any debts. We never have done, but we
Brilliant.
didn't do at that point. We paid everyone. We did diversify slightly into doing live streamed events.
Right. Yeah.
So we
Brilliant.
did a bit of that. I think the phrase at the time was pivoted, but I got to hate that phrase. But
Yep.
so we grew into that world a little bit, and some of
Brilliant.
our long-standing clients used us for doing virtual meetings that they used to do face to face,
Yes.
and that's still part of our business now.
Yep.
Actually, that's changed what we do a little bit because before the dreaded COVID, Zoom and Teams was very much an occasional
Yes.
thing that didn't really work very well at the time.
Absolutely. It's always amazed me. And I've spoken to a few people about this. How because my memory of it was Zoom. I certainly only became familiar with Zoom at post lockdown, if that makes sense. Up
Yeah.
until that point, I and many people were using Skype, and for me,
Oh, it was Skype. Yes, you're right.
and it was Skype was like and what I really find fascinating, and I know there's lots of reasons behind it, and I know ultimately I think Microsoft bought Skype and it's embedded in Teams, but one of the biggest opportunities, the total mirror image of you was that Skype should have been in every business, is every household, and yet it seemed to lose out to Zoom very quickly.
It did. Yeah, I don't know how they managed that, but yeah, you're right.
And I find it fascinating. I know I saw a news article recently. I think it was towards the end of last year. Skype has actually closed down. It's obviously, as I say, as we know, it's embedded in Teams, but you can't buy Skype separately anymore, which is quite a sad story, really, for of as a mirror image of your business of a business that should have absolutely smashed it. It's quite
Yeah.
interesting that it didn't. So, I really, if you don't mind, say just continue a little bit, Mark. One of the things we say in Actually Coach is life's a mirror, and a business is a mirror of its owner.
Right.
So you use the wheel a lot, but how did you manage? I appreciate you may well have shareholders, etc. But how did you manage as an MD and the owner of the business to go through that personally? How was your mindset through that process?
It was tough. I've got to be honest. It was a really difficult time. You were seeing people, never mind the business side of things. You're seeing people genuinely struggle with the staying at home thing. It was
Yes.
very tough on people.
Yeah.
I still went to work every day, so I still made sure I had a purpose.
Brilliant.
Wasn't doing a great deal. I was actually trying to consolidate a little bit and
Brilliant.
do some jobs that we should have been doing beforehand, and we did. Part of what I was doing to survive was literally sort of rationalizing the equipment, getting rid of some things, getting
Yeah.
rid of some vans. We had two big warehouses, so after a while we reduced to one warehouse and
Yeah.
things like that. Just to try and get a handle on costs
Brilliant.
and get some stuff. So that's that. So for me, I was quite relaxed. I suddenly didn't really have. I didn't have a big team to think about as such because they were all
Yeah.
furloughed or they were made redundant after that. Which was very sad. But
Yeah.
so that was a tough part of it.
Of course. Of,
But for me, it was great. I just dealt with work as it came in. Maybe wasn't as proactive as we could have been, if I'm totally honest, but because we don't deal a lot direct with clients, it was the event organisers that tended to get a lot of the virtual work. So we helped
yeah.
our clients with it, but we were never at the forefront of that. It was more
Yeah.
the live delivery that we were known for. So
One thing I'm also aware of working with lots of busy business people and entrepreneurs is entrepreneurial people aren't very good at celebrating. So you're 20
Mhm.
years in, you've overcome probably one of the most critical or worst scenarios that a business of your type could could go through, and you've made it. How good are you at celebrating?
Probably not very.
You're in a
I did have
you. Sorry, go on.
I was going to say I did have a little moment towards mid of last year when we actually paid off our borrowing. So
Brilliant. Well
that was
done.
a little moment where I thought, well, okay, that bit's over now.
Well done. Well done. It is something. So we work with businesses across Yorkshire. One thing we do, we get them all together every quarter to plan the next quarter, but we
Mhm.
also to review and look back. And one of the things we do, and we it's almost like we have to make people do. We celebrate. It's say, look, what are the positives? Because most entrepreneurial people are looking at what they haven't achieved yet, rather than what they have. If that makes any sense.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, yeah.
So, whether it's from going through the whole process or other areas of business growth, what are your biggest learnings and tips you've got about growing a successful business, Mark?
Um, I think to grow a bit, obviously you've got to do your job well. You've got to the
Yes.
company has to perform well. But it's the people in the company that actually enable that.
Yep.
There's no question of that. Yeah, effectively we're what we call a rental house. Our income is governed by equipment that we own that we rent out. So yeah, you
Yes.
need to have the equipment, but you've got to have the people to deliver it. And I don't
Yep.
just mean taking it in a van to deliver it. I just mean the people to deal with the inquiries, get the quotes done, get the kit out the door, check it back in when it comes in, go operate the kit. So it's very much about people. That's the that yeah, I'd
Yes.
say that's been sort of the key to growing it. So since COVID, we sort of dropped down to 7 employees, and we're now at 50. So we've grown massively in the last sort of 3 and a bit years.
Sorry, you said that very casually. So you've dropped down to 7, and now you're at 50, 50.
Yeah, so
Amazing.
we were about 20 before COVID. So we did drop numbers sort of the
Yes.
back end of 2020,
Yep.
and kept the key people on. Then as we've sort of grown back into it, because I think the events industry um, started back properly. It was after the Jubilee celebrations that seemed to kick things off, where people were
Yes.
sort of encouraged outside to events, and it started slowly at that point. I think that was May 21, wasn't it?
Yep. Yes.
And it started back slowly then, but it seemed to come back very quick for us. So
Brilliant.
we very quickly sort of were talking about new warehouses and everything else.
Great.
So as we're expanding, with the right people involved, we then had to
Yes.
move warehouse because we were buying kit like it was going, out of
Brilliant.
fashion because we couldn't keep, we couldn't keep the jobs going unless we actually expanded very quickly.
Brilliant. Yes, there was definitely that stage, wasn't there, when it was almost like we were all let out into the open and we all wanted to go and mingle and mix with lots of other people. So I can
Yeah,
imagine there was a big boom. Um,
yeah,
and I think you're aware we're a business coaching organisation, Mark. I'm just keen to know who the
yeah.
best coaches you've worked with, whether that's business, sport, or life in general. Who's had the biggest impact on you personally?
Oh gosh, you know what? We haven't. I mean, I haven't really done a lot of personal coaching. We do occasionally get someone in just to do a quick 1 day sort of thing for some staff. Or I was part of sort of an exec mentoring group called Vistage
Yep, familiar with them.
a while ago, but I didn't particularly find that sort of useful. If I'm totally honest,
Yep.
probably hate me for saying that, but
No, not at all.
that's more me than them, I think, to be honest. But
Yeah, yeah.
and aside from that, there's some good people around. I've got some great people that I do talk to occasionally that are sort of engagement people, and they sort of help with good sounding boards. But
Great.
yeah, that's it really.
Wonderful. And just on the learning front, do you have any favourite books or podcasts you can recommend? Again, about business, life, success, things that
Yeah, I
you've
mean,
gone.
it's not really business, to be honest. I do like Richard Branson's books. I don't think he's released one for a while, but read those. Political Currency is probably the only podcast I listen to regularly. That's quite good with Ed Balls and
Yes.
George Osborne. That's just quite entertaining, really.
Yeah, brilliant. Yeah, no.
Quite like listening about politics. I don't really pretend to know anything about it, but it's quite interesting hearing both sides of a story or an
Yes.
argument.
Yeah, especially when it's done in a, as you say, an entertaining and respectful way, I guess, isn't it? It's
Yeah,
respecting
absolutely.
that we've all
Yeah,
got our own opinions, and it's okay to have a different opinion. And but
yeah,
what does it look like?
exactly.
I think it's quite. I think it's a good lesson for business, isn't it? Is whenever we've got any issue, it's being able to walk all around it and just say, look, this is my view, but what does it look like on the other side? What would be the opposite way of thinking, just to see where perhaps hopefully find the best way forward.
Yeah, yeah, certainly. We have our directors' sort of management meetings, and I'm really conscious that I don't try and impose things from where I'm sat. I might say my opinion, but I do say, look, it's just my opinion, and you're entitled to your own. What do you
Yes,
think? It's
brilliant.
quite important to do that. I'm not sure the rest of the gang would probably say I do give them their chance, but
You,
no, no,
it
we do,
sound,
we do.
I'm sure you do. It sounds very much that you're very I'm trying to think what the word egalitarian is probably not the right word, but you are great leaders, are great listeners. I find, and they do they do listen before giving their opinion. But if we're great leaders, we also have teams often that will follow what we think is the right way forward because they trust us. So I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah,
Which
totally.
we touched on it earlier, Mark, but I'm keen to know what you've learned about yourself throughout your journey so far.
Um, oh, I don't really know how to answer that, to be honest with you. I don't really have any. I do get asked quite a bit. What's the end look like? What's your goal? And
Yes,
to be honest with you, I've never really had any specific goals other than to keep growing the company.
cool.
So there is a goal. I don't set specific goals within that, but that's the view. Keep expanding what we're doing. Make sure we do a good job. Obviously, that's
Yep.
the primary goal. Is every job. Make sure you come out of it. You're happy that you've done as good as you can do, and it's gone as well as it can.
Yes.
But aside from that, there's no real specific goals. I mean, we don't have any sales targets at the company.
Yep.
We don't. We don't have any salespeople as such. Not with a specific job of sales.
Yep.
We don't. We have someone who does help me with.
And well, the word a lot of some people use that I interview like this is resilience. And given what we've talked about especially going through COVID, how resilient would you say you are?
Yeah, probably quite resilient. I'm thick-skinned, maybe. It's definitely. I'm not someone that would be a quitter.
Yeah.
There was maybe quite a few times during the quiet periods of COVID where I did think, well, what am I doing this for? Why? And I must admit, during it, I did think, right, okay, we're going to get back to doing what we do, but
Yeah.
maybe I just keep it a bit smaller, you know, keep it with, just a small team. But then, of course, the work comes in, and you just deal with that. And before you know it, you're employing people and moving warehouse and buying more vehicles, and
It's,
on you go.
I mean, I have to say it's a brilliant story. Did you ever envisage going into COVID that you'd be, what, no more than 5 years on, or possibly six, 2.5 times as big as you were in terms of people, anyway, 2.5 times as big as you were before you went in?
No, I didn't think that whatsoever. No, there's no chance. And we're probably actually we're certainly more than in terms of revenue. We're double what we used to be. So before more than double. So
Incredible, brilliant. Well,
yeah.
again, congratulations. Again, we've touched on this slightly little bit, but uh, with the phrase we have in Action Coach about a true business, our definition of a true business in Action Coach is a commercial, profitable enterprise that works without its owner. And
Mhm.
I'm just keen to know what your thoughts are on that.
It's certainly somewhere I'm aiming to be. At the moment, I am still involved,
Yeah,
very much involved. It's sort of all I do really. So yeah, so I am involved. I've got a great management team. They're absolutely fantastic, um,
brilliant.
and they're really growing with me. And at some point, I mean, I can go on holiday without worrying.
Yes,
That sort of
brilliant.
thing. But maybe not take 6 months out.
Yeah,
So we're growing to that stage,
great.
and we're nearly there, I think.
I think I often, when I'm talking to people about it, I often use the word can work without you because I do feel in many cases, some of the people I work with just love some of what they do. Whether that's, the strategic side, I've got people that just do the sort of chairman strategic role, or I've got people that actually go back on, or in effect on the tools again and just go, I just love doing what I do. So as long as somebody's
Mhm.
running the business for me, and I think the key thing is that it's creating something that gives choice
Yeah.
and and ultimately freedom. And I think freedom is probably the most common word people use when they define what they really want from the business, if that makes sense.
Okay. Yeah, fair enough. Yeah,
Um,
that's not necessarily a word I would use in terms of what I desire.
yep.
I am very much involved at all levels.
Yes.
So
Great.
I'll go out and do events. I'll do small events, big
Brilliant.
events. I'll just get involved at all level. But at the same time, totally recognise I've got technical people that work with me that are far more capable than I am at delivering things technically. So but yeah, I think it's good to be involved at all levels. You can see everything. Got a good idea what's happening.
Brilliant. Brilliant. And,
Yeah.
and and I know you said you don't specifically set goals, but what does the future look like for you guys, and what challenges do you think you might face, if any?
I think the challenge are always there. I am slightly interested now in the next year or two. We've had this big boom in the live events industry since COVID.
Yes.
Um, I'm wondering now that, I mean, you must see yourself at like music festivals and that sort of thing. That there are more and more of
Yeah.
them, and I do wonder how that will keep growing. Is it going to have the audience there for them? Um, so I know there's been some difficulty with some festivals getting the numbers there.
Okay. Yeah.
So that's only like small part of what we do, but we've tried to do different things as well. So 3 years ago, doing outdoor events sorry, before COVID, doing outdoor events was such a small part of what we did.
Yeah.
Uh, but then sort of 3 years ago, started to buy some outdoor LED screens, so mobile screens and modular screens. And you see them at festivals, but that's been a real growth for us. So it's trying to do something different than what we do that adds to what we do, and it's
Brilliant.
definitely under the same umbrella, but really spreads our sort of concentration of work rather than doing just one thing. It spreads into different areas. So we go literally go all over with our mobile screens.
Brilliant. Brilliant.
So yeah, so that's been good.
Brilliant. And just looking back for a second, if you started the business again and looking back, is there anything significant you do differently, do you think?
Um, oh yeah, I don't know actually. I think I was probably quite hesitant to employ people at first.
Yeah.
It was very slow well, not slow to grow. It had great, if you look at the percentage, it had great growth, but very much tried to do everything myself at the beginning. And I
Yes.
think once I took, a member of staff on, then another, and sort of realized you can rely on people,
Yeah.
then, that's when we really started to do great things.
Promoter. Brilliant. Brilliant. And final question, what's the best advice you give an 18-year-old you if you could go back in time and do that, Mark?
Oh gosh, go work in the industry. Literally go. Um, there are lots of courses, degrees, and everything else you can go do. But honestly, just go work in the industry. Get as much experience as you can, and work
Brilliant.
out which part of the industry you want to do. But just go work hard, put the hours in, put the graft in.
Brilliant.
That's absolutely what I would say.
Brilliant. Mark, it's been fascinating to talk to you, and again, I would congratulate you on the success that you've had, and I'm sure it will continue. And for anyone watching that would like to get in touch with you or AV Matrix, what would be the best way of doing that?
Oh, drop an email. We just got a general email for inquiries, info@av-matrix.com.
Brilliant. Well, look, Mark, it'd be great to swing by in another 6, 12 months to just see how things are going and seeing your thoughts then. But for now, thank you so much for your time.
No problem.
Thank you.